इसलिए जरूरी
Good evening, this is Viewpoint. I'm Zakir Jacob. There was widespread violence today in the state of Kerala by PFI activists. This was a day after there was a large-scale arrest of PFI leaders from Kannur and Kasaragod in the north of the state to Thiruvananthapuram in the south. Public transport was targeted, schools and colleges were shut, and business establishments were attacked. And this is despite an explicit Kerala High Court order banning hartals or flash strikes of any form. Why should anyone have to resort to violence to make a political point? Why should there be any tolerance for those who take the law into their own hands? And why should the large majority of moderate Muslims in this country hold the can for extremist organizations like the PFI?
Destruction, vandalism, anarchy. A day after the biggest crackdown on Popular Front of India, its members went on a rampage in Kerala and Tamil Nadu. The PFI had called a bandh to protest against the midnight raids and arrest of its key leaders by central agencies. But PFI members used their hartal call as an excuse to go on a vandalism spree. State-owned buses and auto rickshaws were pelted with stones.
Inside this bus, we can see that there are fragments of glass that is there all over. There are big stones that are inside this. So this is a condition in most of the vehicles where buses have been damaged like this.
Tires were burnt and even private vehicles were not spared.
That the Hartal supporters, they took away the key and blocked the road. Now the police have gave a direct connection and now they have started this truck. So the technique was to just to block the truck and take away the key.
PFI workers were even caught on camera hurling petrol bombs at the offices of the RSS and the BJP. In some places, PFI workers tried to forcibly shut shops that were open despite their hartal call, but locals gave it back to them. The protest turned violent. The Kerala High Court initiated suo motu cognizance against PFI leaders for calling flash hartal despite it being banned by the court earlier.
So far in all across state, more than 400 persons have been put under preventive arrest and more than 500 persons have been arrested.
From being a threat to national security to vandalizing public property, is it time to ban the PFI once and for all?
All right, but first let's take a look at how widespread the violence and vandalism today in Kerala was. This is all the way starting from Kannur and Wayanad in the northern part of the state, Kozhikode, which is the third biggest city in the state. That entire belt, which is called Malabar, public transport was targeted, schools and colleges were shut. But it's not just there. It's also in the southern districts, Alappuzha, Pathanamthitta, Thiruvananthapuram. Again, places where you would imagine that the PFI's strength or its tentacles haven't spread that far and wide enough. Even in those places, you saw large-scale violence today. In Tamil Nadu, again, it was in the city of Coimbatore, which is, of course, the biggest city bordering Kerala. It was a spillover effect of the violence that we saw in Kerala spilling over across the border into Tamil Nadu. So clearly, a bulk of the violence today concentrated in Kerala as well as in Tamil Nadu, despite the fact that there are explicit orders. The Supreme Court has explicitly banned any kind of Bharat Bandh. The Kerala High Court has put up multiple orders saying that no one can call for flash strikes or hartals. And yet, today, what we have seen is widespread disruption of normal life across the length of Kerala. Let me go across to Vikram Singh. He's former DGP of Uttar Pradesh. Ghanshyam Tiwari, spokesperson of the Samajwadi Party, joining us. Aarti Agarwal is author and researcher. Dr. Tara Karta is former director of the National Security Council Secretariat. And Maulana Ali Qadri will be joining us, Islamic scholar. Let me start with Vikram Singh first. They say in India, if the police force in any state wants to stop a riot, then even God cannot create a riot. So tell me what exactly happened today, because what we saw today, sir, was widespread violence. It was in the northern districts, it was in the southern districts, and all of this seemingly to protest the arrest of certain leaders of the PFI. How can anyone justify taking the law into their own hands and indulging in this kind of rank hooliganistic behavior?
Good evening, Zaka. You very rightly articulated that nobody has the right to take law in his own hands. But much as some people would like to believe that everybody has a democratic right to give peaceful protest and rightful resentment, the democratic right to voice their dissent. This is not a rightful dissent. This is violence, and the naked kind of violence. Obviously, the Kerala police were caught on the wrong foot. They did not probably anticipate that this would lead to hurling of petrol bombs to rival camps, and also this level of vandalism and widespread violence and breakdown of law and order machinery. Now, of course, perhaps they are very professional police. They would have taken their reinforcements, got reinforcements from the central government as well. But yes, they should have anticipated and had actionable intelligence to ensure that life is normal. We have disturbing scenes of bus drivers flying government buses, putting on helmets in anticipation of the fact that perhaps they may be attacked and they may be subjected to brick batting. Now, perhaps the police know what anti-riot gear is and what anti-riot drill is. Once the police also, I give you a second corollary to what the police, if the police want, there shall be no wanton destruction of property, and there cannot be anybody taking law in his own hands. Make it very clear. Let this be very clear. Kerala is a very professional police force, and once this has happened, I'm sure there'll be no replication. And those who have been identified in the video and the CCTV cameras must be booked tonight, not tomorrow. Tonight itself, picked up and then sent to jail and given a lesson of a lifetime.
Over 100 people have been rounded up across the state, allegedly belonging to the PFI. But, you know, the thing that I find absolutely astounding is, why are you targeting public transport vehicles? What is the fault of these public transport drivers that they have to wear helmets and drive the buses for fear of being pelted with stones? It's not like they came and arrested the PFI leaders. But be that as it may, let me ask Ghanshyam Tiwari. What is critical here, Ghanshyam Tiwari, is there is an explicit Kerala High Court order in 2019 which has banned flash hartals. In fact, that order goes on to say that if anyone wants to call out a hartal, they have to give 7 days notice. What the PFI has done today is basically cock a snook at that judgment. Surely the PFI is not above the law of this land.
Good evening, Zaka, to you, the viewers, and my fellow co-panelists. The law of the land and the way the government sees the law of the land is visible in the kind of hate architecture that BJP has put in India. Where a PFI becomes the news item, they have the ability to create this destruction of property, take law in their own hands, and the Home Minister is missing. Where is the Home Minister of India? What is he doing? Is he stopping PFI, which is apparently, as per BJP, across the country? No. He is further building the hate architecture in Bihar. The Supreme Court is talking about the role of media that participates in the hate architecture sponsored by BJP and this government. When you have the national government working to build hate architecture, when you have international agencies talking about how the over 55% of anti-Muslim hate tweets on internet came from India, and definitely BJP is a major participant, BJP supporting media is a major participant, then you don't know which is the end where you will start solving the problem. We can discuss the problem, but neither you nor the respective Bikram Singh knows that which is the right end of the problem. I believe the right end of the problem is Home Minister of India. He has to decide whether he is participating as Hate Minister of India or he is participating as a Home Minister of India, whose responsibility is communal harmony is maintained. Organizations that are against communal harmony, whether it is BJP and RSS based organizations or whether it is PFI, those organizations are checked, and the federal government is not playing against the state government for petty politics to engineer such organizations. The last but not the least, you have Mr. Siddaramaiah, former Chief Minister of Karnataka, going on record and saying that BJP is supporting PFI and SDPI and such organizations to divide society. So if BJP is at the core of the hate architecture in India, and Home Minister is unsure whether it is his Home Minister or hate minister, then we will continue to have discussions, but they will not be meaningful.
Okay, let me ask Dr. Tara Karta, because since yesterday I've been hearing this argument, many are calling this equivalence, many are calling this false equivalence, that you can't just go after violence on one side. Yes, the PFI indulged in violence. No one should, in their right mind, condone that. But equally, at the same time, there's violence from the Hindu side as well. Yati Narsingh Anand, for example, is still roaming scot-free. What about hate speech that comes from the Hindu side? How come there isn't action, or at least timely action, that is taken against that? Do you buy this argument, or do you see a sense of false equivalence in this argument purely because of what is known about the role of the PFI and its tentacles, whatever we know of it in the public domain?
Zahra, I'm sorry. I have seen PFI growing from 2010. Okay, we've tracked this organization. I know exactly how much we warned against it and nothing was done. Right now, I'm from Kerala. I'm from the town where this is happening. And we have never seen such things before. So I am extremely worried that we have reached this level of violence in a state which is otherwise the most educated. And the reason why we warned of a PFI and of an Islamic State and of all this, I mean, everywhere you look, Zaka, you look at the Kabul, the Gurdwara bomb blast.
Yeah.
This guy had PFI links. You look at most of the Azamgarh areas, PFI links. Any terrorist area, there is a PFI link. So I'm sorry, there is a different case, which I entirely agree with you, that hate speech across religious spectrum should be punished. But this is a little more than that. I mean, I know that there was in 2016 a large group which was arrested from Kannur. Kannur, you can't go there nowadays. It is so bad, you cannot sell land unless you sell it to a particular community. So things have got extremely bad over the years. And the saddest part is that this hurts the Muslims who are moderate. Like you said, the majority are moderate. So when we don't weigh in and arrest these violent elements, the ones who suffer are the moderate Muslims. I mean, Kerala has never been like this. Never. We have lived together amicably with Muslims, Jews, every single Christian community. We have no history of violence.
Okay.
So I'm sorry, the political thing is aside, and I would 100% agree that if a Hindu, someone says this, he should be dealt with in the same way. But this case is special. It has spread very badly over the last 7 years.
Okay, let me ask Maulana Qadri. Maulana Qadri, काफी सारे मुसलमान संगठन जो हैं, ऑल इंडिया तंजीम उलेमा इस्लाम, कुल हिंद मरकजी इमाम काउंसिल, मुस्लिम स्टूडेंट्स ऑर्गेनाइजेशन MSO, सब लोग आके कंडेम किए हैं जो आज के वायलेंस था, जो PFI का रोल था उसमें, और whatever we know about the PFI and its dangerous tentacles in the last 7, 8, 10 years. काफ़ी सारे मुस्लिम ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस आके उसको कंडेम किए हैं. जो तारा करता का पॉइंट था जो अभी उन्होंने बताई कि देखिए दिस एक्चुअली falls on the entire moderate Muslim community. The actions of a few extremists, ultimately the flack for it comes on the larger community of moderate Muslims. And until and unless there is leadership from within the community which comes out and unequivocally condemns this kind of extremist behavior explicitly, then this is going to be a curse that the community has to carry. This is going to be a cross that the community has to carry. कि कुछ लोगों की, चंद लोगों की जो extremist तरीके हैं, उसके लिए सारे समुदाय को जिम्मेदार खड़े कर देंगे.
देखिए ज़ाका साहब, आपके चैनल के जरिए मैं सारे हिंदुस्तान के मुसलमानों से कुछ कहना चाहता हूं कि हमारे अपने हिंदुस्तान में बहुत सारे मुस्लिम रिलीजियस ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस हैं, जस्ट लाइक मरकज़ी अंजुमन क़ादरिया, सीरत नबी एकेडमी, तामीर मिल्लत और आपके जमीयतुल उलमा हिंद, रज़ा एकेडमी और आपके जो है दावत इस्लामी, बहुत सारी ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस हैं, लेकिन किसी पर भी NIA ने कोई रेड नहीं किया, कोई छापामारी नहीं की. क्या वजह है कि PFI पर NIA जैसी एजेंसी छापामारी कर रही है, रेड्स कर रही है? तो वो लोग जो PFI के समर्थन में प्रोटेस्ट करें या करना चाहते हैं या उनके तायद में किसी किस्म का कोई स्टेटमेंट देना चाहते हैं, उन तमाम मुसलमानों को मैं ये बात कहना चाहता हूं कि कतई तौर पर आप ऐसी गलती ना करें, क्योंकि पीएफआई के खिलाफ में बहुत सारे प्रूफ एनआईए के पास है और वो प्रूफ करेंगे नहीं करेंगे वो तो वक्त बताएगा। लेकिन हमको जिस तरीके से परेशानी हो रही है चंद एक लोगों की वजह से, सारी मुस्लिम कम्युनिटी को उसी सर्कल में खड़ा करने की कोशिश की जा रही है। देखिए साहब, मैं एक बात खुलेआम ये कहना चाहता हूं कि हर धर्म में कुछ अच्छे भी लोग होते हैं, कुछ खराब लोग भी होते हैं। अभी जैसे कि हमारी मैडम ने कहा कि नसीमनन के बारे में, तो वैसे भी लोग हिंदू मजहब में हैं कि आए दिन भड़काऊ बयान देते हैं, तो हम उसके खिलाफ भी बोलते हैं, और पीएफआई जैसी गतिविधियां हैं, जो एक्टिविटीज है, हम उसके भी खिलाफ बोलते हैं। और आज का जो वायलेंस है, ये बात का प्रूफ है कि पीएफआई जो है कोई सोशल ऑर्गेनाइजेशन नहीं है। इनके एक्टिविटीज से ये पता चलता है, इनके वायलेंस से ये पता चलता है, इनके एजिटेशन से पता चलता है कि ये कहीं ना कहीं आतंक फैलाने की कोशिश कर रहे हैं। और बहुत सारे लोगों को ये गलत, एक 30 सेकंड से जज़ाकत साहब, बहुत सारे लोगों को ये गलत फहमी है कि आतंक माने ब्लास्ट ही करना, आतंक माने गोली ही चलाना। अरे आतंक बहुत किस्म का होता है, कम्युनिटी को डिस्टर्ब करना भी मेरी नजर में आतंक है, और लॉ एंड ऑर्डर को प्रॉब्लम में डालना भी आतंक है, दो समुदाय में लड़ाना भी मेरी नजर में आतंक है। तो ऐसी
Agarwal, the problem is, of course, there is a case being made to ban the PFI nationally. Whether or not that ban will happen, we will wait and see. But the problem is this, and I'm going to read from an affidavit that was filed back in 2012, not by a BJP government or by a communist government, but a Congress government, when Oommen Chandy was Chief Minister of Kerala. This is what they had filed in an affidavit in the High Court, that PFI is nothing but a resurrection of the banned outfit, the Students' Islamic Movement of India, in another form. The question is, Simi was banned, it metamorphosized into PFI. Tomorrow, if you're going to ban PFI, it's going to metamorphosize into something else.
Right. Thank you, Zaka. So I have been saying this several times, even in your show, but I think, banning PFI may be a bigger, fish to fry. I think what the government needs to do is freeze the assets of all the people and, not just PFI, but all the linked organizations for whom we already have the proof that they have been funding violence across cities all over India. Because, we've been discussing mob violence and street violence since March of this year, and we are still discussing it. We've seen violence even today, and every incident has shown that, PFI is either sponsoring it, or there are people involved, or there are some links or the other. So, we already have enough evidence to do something like freezing their assets so they can at least stop funding violence, so they can at least stop funding the people who trigger the violence or hiring more people for it. The list goes on and on. So my point is that, whether we ban it or not, and whether we can ban it or not is a separate question, but there needs to be steps where we first thwart the attempts to first even start violence like the one which we are seeing today. I mean, this is PFI protesting arrest of their leaders, and now we are basically creating the same problem which we're trying to check by, banning PFI. So I think the other point I want to make here is, we're talking about moderate Muslims condemning it, which is a welcome step. But I think the moderate Muslims need to go one step ahead of just condemning it. They need to be a little bit more proactive so we understand that they exist. Because, we hear these squeaky voices now and then that moderate Muslims are condemning PFI and things like that, which is good. But we need to be a bit more proactive. They need to take political and legal action.
No, but Aarti, the same can be asked when a Yati Narasimhan makes hate speech. People ask the same question, where are the moderate Hindus? Why are they not coming out and condemning it unequivocally?
They do come out. Of course, they do come out. There has been action against Yati Narasimhan Singh. There have been enough people who have condemned him from the, the so-called Hindutva side, the people they label as Hindutva. Enough of those people have condemned him. So there has been action against him.
No, so Vikram Singh, respond to that. The accusation against law enforcement agencies is, in some cases, you go after, the Muslim extremists, but you're quiet against, extremists of the Hindu faith or any other faith for that matter. And that is a double standard that the law enforcement agencies are applying. Now, surely, in the case of the PFI, it is no one's case that, this crackdown should not have happened, or that it's no one's case that everybody who's been picked up is guilty. That ultimately will have to be proved in a court of law. But when questions are being asked of even-handedness or equity before law, that all sides are treated the same, That is something that is being asked by some folks.
Zaka, selective action is just not acceptable. That is no action whatsoever. It is counterproductive. Equality before law is an established tenet of law, and I would strongly recommend that you not only have to be equal and be absolutely impartial in the eyes of law, but to your own conscience also. It does not work if you show me the man and I show you the rules. Yati Narsinghanand or whoever has taken law in his own or her hands is accountable before law, and deterrent action has to be taken, as Maulana Qadri Sahab has just. Whatever Maulana Sahab has said, Maulana Sahab की बातें जो हैं वो मरहम लगाने वाली हैं, और मैं चाहता हूं इसको सोने की इमारत में मड़वा करके हर घर में टांगा जाए, जिससे कि लोगों को नसीहत मिले, मशवरा मिले, उम्दा और मुफीद और आसान मशवरा मिले, जिससे कि गलत रास्ते की तरफ करना छोड़ने देखे भी नहीं. But what we need is a voice of sanity. Of course, the architecture of violence has not to be addressed by the Prime Minister or the Home Minister. It will be addressed by the station house officer and the Superintendent of Police and the Superintendent of Jails. Attempting to assassinate the Prime Minister of the country is not something that can be condoned or swept underneath the carpet. Training people and radicalizing the youth is also cannot be swept underneath the carpet. Training the youth and also getting funds, illegitimate funds, and using them ostensibly for the rehabilitation of widows and orphans and the destitute, and misusing it for subversive purposes and anti-national activities cannot be dismissed as swept underneath the carpet. Zaka, one has to be cruel to be kind, and I would say whether it incarnates as something, I have been a part of the banning of CIVI, and therefore the mistake that we made then, we cannot allow this to reincarnate as something else.
In some other form,
biometric.
I want to ask Ghanshyam Tiwari, I want to go back a bit of background for our viewers. There was in 2017 a case, it was famously called the Vallarpatnam case, where two members of the PFI were arrested for sending two individuals to Turkey to join the Islamic State. In fact, one of them was picked up from Turkey. Now, my question is very simple, Ghanshyam Tiwari. Here you have an organization whose members have been convicted for sending people to be part of IS, for sending people to be part of Daesh. They lose no opportunity in protesting, sometimes even violently, against things like CAA, hijab, Ram Navami. All of this, the PFI's hand has been shown in the public domain. All of this information is there in the public domain. Why should such an organization ever get a long rope?
Because the Home Minister of India wants such an organization to have a long rope. When the Home Minister is not in charge and a station superintendent has to be in charge of this in India, which police station can deal with such an organization? This was a NIA raid against which they called this Hartal. What is the responsibility of the Home Minister of India? If there is an organization that is creating violence, creating hate, shouldn't the Home Minister of India look at how this organization has to be curtailed and this hate narrative has to be killed?
But Ghanshyam Tiwari, just a short interjection, 10 seconds. Are you telling me that a multi-state operation across 15 states did not have coordination by the Home Minister or the Home Ministry? Surely that could not have happened.
Well, if the Home Minister is not available on the job, no one from BJP is taking responsibility. Just on this show, we learned that how PFI has grown in the last 7 years. And on a previous day, the Supreme Court is asking, where is our nation headed? About hate speech in media, and asking why is Centre standing a mute witness? Centre is standing a mute witness anywhere where the hate is at the center of the narrative. Because the Centre, BJP, wants to benefit from this whole hate architecture. Why do you think Mr. Amit Shah is in Simanchal in Bihar, and why is he not there in Kerala? Would he only be in Kerala when he has to participate in municipal elections?
No, let me
ask,
Tara Karta, as somebody involved in the national security architecture previously, ma'am, could such an elaborate 15-state operation have happened individually at the level of the NIA or the local police help that they have taken in BJP ruled states and CRPF help that they've taken in non-BJP ruled states? Surely an operation of this scale had to be coordinated from the center.
Oh, absolutely, Zaka. There is no two way. There is no way it can be done without the Home Minister, and particularly this Home Minister, keeping a very sharp eye on this. However, there's something I want to say. When you're talking of curbing this, you look at some of the videos which have come out, which I have seen from the PFI, they are horrifying. These are by the local mullahs and so on and so forth. There are political people who are from the PFI, legislators, who are saying the most absurd things. I don't want to repeat it here because it's horrifying. That is where moderate Muslims need to step in and stop this kind of teaching from going on, because this is what is infecting the state. However, I would also give a small caution here. This kind of violence is extremely unusual to Kerala. I mean, it seems to me a kind of an orchestration which has taken place, unless the PFI was already prepared with this kind of thing. I don't know. Third thing is, you also need to look at the criminal angle. The PFI has been involved in a lot of criminal activities. If it's grown from my home state to, I think, nearly 22 states now, there's a lot of money there.
Okay.
So
Maulana Qadri, I'll
aspects...
give you the last word. Kal jo NIA ka statement tha when they submitted, when they produced 18 of these accused in the Patiala House Court, unhone ye kaha tha ki criminal violent acts carried out by the PFI, like the chopping off of the hand of a college professor, cold-blooded killings of persons belonging to the RSS and to the CPIM, destruction of public property, have all had a demonstrative effect of striking terror in the minds of citizens. तो ये तो साफ तौर पे वो कह रहे हैं कि ये दहशत फैलाने के लिए कर रहे हैं ये सब.
देखिए सर, इसीलिए तो मैं ये बात कह रहा हूं कि पीएफआई पर न सिर्फ छापेमारी होना चाहिए, बल्कि इनको टोटली बैन लगना चाहिए. ऐसे लोगों को हिंदुस्तान में किसी किस्म की कोई जगह नहीं मिलनी चाहिए. आपके चैनल के जरिए माध्यम से एक बात मैं हमारे एनएसए चीफ अजीत डोवाल साहब को भी कहना चाहूंगा कि इस मामले में हमारे पास सोशल मीडिया पर हमको कड़ी नजर रखने की जरूरत है, क्योंकि थ्रू सोशल मीडिया ये लोग बहुत सारे जहरीले मैसेजेस पास ओवर कर रहे हैं, जिससे इनोसेंट मुस्लिम्स को यह समझ में आ रहा है कि इंडिया में मुस्लिम ऑर्गेनाइजेशंस पर जुल्म हो रहा है. तो ऐसी चीजों पर भी हमको नजर रखने की जरूरत है, और कड़ी नजर रखते हुए ऐसे जो लोग मैसेज पास ओवर कर रहे हैं. अब जैसे मेरी बात ले लीजिए आप, कल से जो है मुझे सोशल मीडिया पर, व्हाट्सएप कॉलिंग पर मुझे थ्रेट्स आ रहे हैं कि आप पीएफआई के खिलाफ बोले, विद इन 24 आवर्स आपको खत्म कर देंगे. बहुत सारी ऐसी बातें हो रही है. तो मैं ये चाहूंगा कि सोशल मीडिया पर भी कड़ी नजर रखी जाए और इसके ऊपर भी एनआईए खास नजर रखे.
I am completely out of time. I want to thank all our guests. We'll see how this story plays out through the course of the next few days. But as we wrap up, do not forget to vote for your favorite startup, the unicorn that you feel deserves to be the Indian of the Year startups. Just go to indianoftheyear.com and cast your vote. Anusha joining you in a moment.